I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, everybody had a chance to read the minutes? If so, can I get a motion to approve? Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed, motion carries. Select water. Has everybody had a chance to read up on this? And I don't, maybe you wanna comment on this? Or no?
It's up to you. Other than they just want you to go to the Industrial Water Commission and increase your water usage, or you can take the deal and then maybe charge more to them and stuff. But I guess that's up to you guys if you want to do that.
Well, I guess I'm under the impression, well, that's kind of what I got out of it, but my idea, I guess, on that would be, which doesn't matter, you guys do the voting. But they need to just get their own water permit. Because this puts a burden on the city as far as we have to monitor or figure out a way to meter or do something to keep track of the amount of water they use. So it's actually putting more on us, plus they're running through our permit. And I just disagree with that.
Shelby, are you on the Teams meeting?
Yes, ma'am, I'm on.
Okay.
So we would provide telemetry units so that we could monitor the amount of water that we would be using. And I would be happy to facilitate reporting that to the state for you guys. That's a part of what I do anyway. So that wouldn't be a problem at all. The telemetry units report directly to the state via Wi-Fi. So there's no messing around with that. It's a fairly easy process. And all the paperwork I would be able to handle myself.
Why wouldn't you just go for your own permit?
I just noticed that you guys already had one. I've partnered with the city of Powers Lake too to just increase revenue for the city. So I didn't know if you guys would want the same opportunity or not. If not, I totally understand. But that's why I'd approached Alin in the first place.
Where did they talk about hooking on that?
Shelby, did you hear the question?
I did not.
Where is it you guys are wanting to hook on to get the water?
So we could just pull straight out of the reservoir. As long as it's within the quarter section that your guys' permit is in, we can have an intake point wherever along that. So I'm sure that you guys know the area better than we would. I'd probably ask for whoever is familiar to direct us to the best intake point. And any of the lay flat hose coming out of the reservoir, you guys would have to approve, of course, you know, the routes and whatnot. So it usually when I have, you know, the opportunity to use a source, I plan it out at least 3 months in advance. So nobody would be blindsided. It would all be pre-planned and approved type of a deal.
So we currently have a permit, and one of my hesitations on this is, on a dry year, the reservoir would be our emergency water source.
What she just said, it's up to us if we want to approve anything, right? So we wouldn't have to approve it, period, because of just what you said. But is there a dollar amount that the potential, how much we could get off this for the city? I'm just curious. You have an estimated dollar amount?
So typically it's a per barrel price point when I buy for frac water, which is what I'd be using this fresh water for. I'd spoken to a Lynn for 13 cents a barrel because I'm looking for about 6 million barrels in total in that area. So I don't think that your permit right now would be able to facilitate that. And even if you increase it, it probably wouldn't be able to facilitate that, but I'd be able to use as much as you guys would want with that. And obviously all of the water permits are also contingent, by the way, on the levels of the reservoir with the state. So if you guys did have a dry year or something like that, I might not even be able to use the permit. So, and that's monitored by the state. I wouldn't want to get my wrist slapped for it, and I wouldn't want the city of Stanley to get in trouble for that either. So if that's the case, we just wait until the next year.
I mean, if my math is right, for the existing permit we have, it'd be about $299,000 of revenue.
That's,
If we just kept it at what is, you know, I think we have, yeah, our permit is good for 300 acre feet.
Yep. Yep.
So about 300K, the way it sits now.
Yep. And if it makes the city more comfortable, as long as I have secured the work, I can potentially prepay for the water, even things like that. I mean, there's a lot of workaround that I can manage, but there will be a lot of upcoming activity in that area over the next 3 or 4 years. So
It's our secondary water. That's our secondary water. Any other comments?
pretty not a lot of work for us to do that. If she's handling all the paperwork. That where you understand it?
No,
No.
I still see us as having to monitor it. I mean, to make sure we're taking their word basically that that's what they use.
I could give you guys a login that you could actually see the amount of barrels that are being used on the telemetry unit live. Because all of our systems are automated, so I could make a login for you where you can actually watch that live stream the whole time, if that's something that you're interested in. Additionally, I mean, you'll hear the pumps out there. You guys will be able to walk out and look at the telemetry unit as well if you'd like to. Because not only does it sync up Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but you can go out and look at the actual meter, and it displays on a screen the amount of barrels that are used. Additionally, I would have to do a 7-day report with the state of what we used for the first 7 days. And I would loop you guys in on that. And then there has to be a 30-day report of what the sources used. So they track it very closely. It's not something that I would be able to fudge and you guys would really have to manage. I mean, that's all a part of my process already.
Well, where I'm at though, you know, I understand this checks and balances from the states, just my initial thought on this, I'd move to decline this. I'm very hesitant about potentially, you know, using up our secondary water source, you know, for a few $100,000. Money's money, but on the dry years and working on the fire department, I don't know if I can get on board with selling the water for some cash and, you know, potentially putting a divot in that resource that we have, but that's my motion.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
You're denying it?
I'm moving to decline or deny.
Is there a second?
I'm gonna second it.
Is there any other discussion?
I guess my question is, if we're still able to control giving out that water. And I understand what you're saying, we don't wanna give up our secondary. But until that secondary happens, I'd rather make some money on this. Because if that shows up, we are right to shut it down. If I understand, we're right. So I guess I'd rather get the water and the money and shut it down if we need to. And I understand what you're saying. But I look at it maybe a little different.
You have to babysit that, then, or make that switch.
George, you got your mic on.
Who would be able to babysit that in order to make that switch if that was to happen?
They what switch, the switch to.
You said if they happen to use too much,
No, it's not, no. Talking about, in a dry area, in a dry time, right? That's what you're talking about when it's dry. Well, we all know if it's dry, it hasn't rained for a while. We could shut this water down, from what I understand she's saying. So why can't we shut it down then? Until that day shows up, why don't we sell it?
then we're still short on water once the dry is here.
Up until that time,
We're in a dry cycle right now.
no.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Yes,
So, as Shelby did state, the state water commission completely controls that. So even the city with their permit, if it's a dry year and it reaches a certain level, they will shut down anybody that is drawing water from the knife. So that it's all controlled by the state. So even like our water depot for our industrial sales from the knife, we have to put in a permit for so much, but we can even get shut down if it reaches a certain level.
good, but our wells are directly under that knife, basically, so our wells are pulling.
May I make a comment as well? I didn't mention before when I was speaking that there are other permits on the reservoir. So, I mean, I'd love to use your guys' water so I can benefit the city, but other permits will be used otherwise. So you guys should definitely take the opportunity to get it first. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Because, I mean, otherwise the landowners in the area will benefit as they always have, the ones that own the property along the reservoir, or the city could, And that's just not Select, like that's in multiple different vendors will use different permit type of a thing. So if your guys' is more readily available to use, then it might not be even Select. I can have other vendors use it, but you guys would get the money versus the landowners in the area. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, there is one other one
Can,
that draws out of there, but
I think if you guys are contemplating doing this, at least entertaining it, I would recommend you go get the increased permit water, see if you get approved for it first, and then if you do get that, then you want to enter in negotiations with them.
Right.
Just then we can put in things on our end in the contract with them that gives us more protections, but you can always go get the permit.
we're not ready for that right now.
No,
Until we know from the state anyway.
yes.
Well, I've got a motion on the table and a second. Any further discussion?
So just for clarity then, I mean, somebody else could pull this water if we don't. There's nothing stopping any debating land either.
There is a state, actually.
It's okay. Between the two of us, nobody can hear us. We do have, I believe, 4 conditional use permits right now in place that have pumps on the river. There's 3 with one company, and 1 with another that are pulling from landowners access to the Little Knife right now. Just keep that in mind when you guys are thinking about all this.
Which is highly likely that the state would say no.
Wow, and that's what she's speaking about is like they will go to these other landowners or to these other people and they'll profit from that because we do have approved conditional use permits for 4 pumps right now. So
Yeah. Okay,
So doesn't being more educated. Is this stupid then if I say no, are they gonna grab it from somewhere else on the same piece of water we're talking
no,
about?
because they still have to get approval. I mean, we're saying no right now, basically, if that's what your motion is. But the fact is, if we check with the state to see what could be drawn on there, you know, at that time, I guess we could probably make a decision whether to,
Could we table it till,
pardon?
we want to table it first? Till we find that out? State?
That's entirely up to you guys.
I'd like to know if we get it from the state, that's all we really need to know, is will they give it to us? Because we could say no, or we could say yes today, unless we get that permit, if that's the way I understand it. There's nothing we can do. But we can find out how much we can get from the state, and then make a decision. correct?
We do have a permit. It's just whether we can have the increase in volume or
Well,
usage.
that's what I'm asking about them.
So
Yeah,
as
you
I
have to
stand
go-
there right now, we have a permit in place right now. We do.
Right here.
Yep, for 2.3
Yep.
million barrels, 300 acre feet. Whether we vote to increase it or not, the conversation is do we want to partner with Select Water and sell them the barrels that we're already permitted to sell? So where I'm at now, is this a stupid motion on my behalf, thinking I'm protecting something to the cities that's inevitable if one of the property owners, if we say no, they go to the next group and they say yes. The same amount of water in theory could be permitted and leave, and then, so that's my point, is
We do
this,
have a station down there right now where we sell water ourselves.
Mhm.
So,
so I guess my question is, I would rescind my motion if there's some more meat here, if this makes zero sense. The more I'm talking about it, I'm sitting there scratching my head going, hang on, if we say no, is it inevitable anyway? Because we don't control the whole body of water. We have abutting property on a piece of it.
So basically what you're saying is they're probably gonna take it out of this anyway. One way or the other, just we're not gonna benefit from it if we say no.
well, I think we visit with the state before we give an answer,
Right.
plain and simple. I mean,
Hey, they do that.
No. I'll rescind my motion and move to table for some further discussion, because I think there's still some information we should probably grab on this, and that's the intention that I have is if the intention is protect the city's secondary source of water. But I'm curious, if we say no, that doesn't change anything. That same amount of water might come out by the next adjacent landowner on the same piece of water, right?
but they're limited to what they can
But they are
take as
limited,
well, each one of them.
Yep.
On their permits as well. So, you know,
Can I make a point? That is correct. So a lot of the adjacent permits that are along the property lines are also 300 acre feet. So they could take, ideally, for them, the full 300 acre feet from each permit. And then you guys wouldn't end up benefiting from it.
But same amount of water just left.
Same amount of water just left. You guys have no control over that type of a thing, right? So if the water is going to be taken, I would hope that the city could benefit from it at least a little bit.
so what is your benefit of getting it from us under our permit?
So I, like I said, did it for the city of Powers Lake. It's kind of a feel good thing for me. Like, I'd rather help the city a little bit, improve something, maybe the school system, whatever you guys are really looking at personally, than give it to a landowner who's already making hand over fist, just from my experience with my career up until this point. But I understand all of the points that you guys are making too. So
Like I said, where I'm standing here going, well, hang on. Now the more I talk about it, I'm like, if I do what it feels right, and literally the exact same amount of water might just end up going through, and then taxpayers say, well, cool, the 300 acre feet went out anyway, but instead of the city profit and getting anything, the city didn't. But the same amount of water in theory is gonna still come out. They're just gonna get the permit,
If we can stop.
right? Huh? Sorry, I might have been preemptive, so that extra information helped me go, okay.
Okay, so are you Rescinding your motion.
I'm rescinding my motion on that, given that.
And are you making a motion to table?
A motion to table this.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, this motion would be to table till the next meeting, basically, our next regular scheduled meeting till January. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed. Motion carries. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the district, resolutions for 62, 63, 64, and 65.
Okay, so first resolution is creating water and sewer improvement district number 62. This would be for the capital improvement phase 3, which would be what, fourth and sixth? Okay, so we need a motion to,
To approve.
yes,
Motion to approve, water and sewer improvement district number 62.
Second.
Okay, there's motion and a second. Alen, would you please do a,
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
I,
Ty,
Aye.
Randy, George.
same thing on 63?
Nope,
Just
Still-
about.
still on 62. Now we do the resolution directing the engineer to prepare the report.
Make motion to have the engineer.
Was it Kirk?
Yes.
Kirk?
Aye.
Jesse,
I,
Ty,
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to approve, street improvement project district number 63.
Second.
Are you doing 62 approving engineer's report?
No, we already did that and voted on that,
oh, that was the trouble.
didn't we?
No, directing engineer to prepare report. Now this is to approve engineer's report.
Okay,
Motion to approve engineer's report on district 62.
If he said something, I can't hear him.
How do you prove it if it hasn't been prepared?
yeah. We're doing both. We're approving and preparing motions to do both.
Yes,
How do you approve it if it hasn't been prepared?
it has. Yeah, yes, please.
So for each water and sewer district, the bond council makes you go through 4 resolutions here. The first is creating the district. The second is having us create an engineer's report. The fourth one is approving the engineer's report, which you guys have in front of you. And then I can't remember what the fourth one is. Declaring the work necessary.
That's where we'd have to set the protest hearing
Yeah,
for
now,
the street portion.
and then for the street, each street improvement district, there's only 2 of those, but for the water, I believe, is it 2 or 3?
2.
2. So there's 2 for the street districts and there's 4 for each water sewer district they have us go through.
Okay, so where are we here?
So now we're still on 62. We'd be approving the engineer's report. So you motioned. So I need a second. We need a second.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
I,
Ty, Randy, George.
Okay, hearing no nays, motion carries.
Okay, now we're on to 63, and this would be the street improvement. Same case, resolution creating District 63.
Motion to create street report district number 63.
Second.
Yep.
Who's second? Jesse. Okay, Kirk,
Right.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to have the engineer prepare the report for District 63.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to approve the report made by the engineers for District 63.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
So now the next one, because this is a street improvement, this would be resolution declaring work necessary. And so we can do it 30 days after publication. It's already been sent to Mary because of the holidays. So we set the protest hearing for January 23rd. It's a Thursday at 4 PM. And that's included in this resolution.
Okay.
So we're on the resolution declaring work necessary.
464,
63.
or 63, I mean.
Yes, 63.
Motion to approve the work being necessary for District 63.
Second.
Sorry, who second?
Jesse.
Sorry, your back's to me and I just, oh my ears are. Sorry. Kirk.
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Okay, now we're on 64, resolution creating water and sewer improvement.
Motion to approve sewer improvement project number 64.
Second.
Second.
Well, or what was? Don't you have it?
No, like in town.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to have the engineers prepare the report on District 64.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to approve the engineers report for District 64.
Second.
Jesse, sorry, Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Okay, now we're on to resolution 65, or on to District 55, this 65. Creating the street improvement.
Motion to approve the street improvement project district number 65.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to approve having the engineers prepare the report for District 65.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
Motion to approve the engineers report on District 65.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
And the last one would be the resolution declaring work necessary with the protest hearing set for January 23rd. And that is also just set at 4 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
Kirk,
Aye.
Jesse,
I,
Ty, Randy, George.
Hearing no nays, motion carries.
I'm
Okay.
done.
And we're done with that. Okay, R and T water agreement. Discussion. Benny?
I spoke with, Liz over in R&T Water the other day, and the only thing on that paragraph 6, she says that anytime there's an annexation done, there would be each time it has to be individually negotiated between the city and R&T Water. But then I was talking to Ryan earlier, and it was brought up that if they're on our rural water, how do you do that if they're annexed in? Do they use that, or do they have to tie into the city? It could be a situation like that.
Does that make sense? So like the city, so the R&T has probably on their user dug in the water and provided the service. And then the city annexes in. The city, does the city use the same infrastructure that R&T used? So you're not doubling up, and you can, I get the cost of reimbursing for that, but if you're digging in your own line yourself and connecting up, because I'm guessing they want all the water for City of Stanley to come out of the water tower, right? They don't want to go directly from, because I don't know how you track that. Do you want to pay for their costs for something you're not going to use the infrastructure? So right now, the current agreement is for regular water users, it's a flat rate of $3,400 for their cost. If you change it, then it's like, okay, you're agreeing to pay their costs, but we don't know what it is. And who decides if you can't reach an agreement? What do you do? So you have to put something in there to do something in place, like a arbitration clause or something. I know there's a grievance procedure on the other part of the statute or other contract, part of the contract, but it doesn't talk about how you would, if you can't reach an agreement, or the cost for if you do annex someone in, what is the reasonable cost? So that's my concern with this current, the new agreements they have.
Yeah, because that could be a runaway train of unknown, right? I mean, if it's just a blanket statement, I mean, you have no idea knowing what that could cost.
Does anybody know if they're how they would tie in, the city would tie into the existing line? Does anyone know?
Well,
The whole city's on R&T already, so we're already on the same line.
we are on R and T, but it goes to our towers. After that, I mean, that's city. Once the city takes control of the water, the city disperses the water through the city water mains. So I guess I don't see,
So what would have happened, Marley, if we out there in Country Estates, if we would have went with rural water?
we went with rural water, it was different. I
Right,
mean,
but then the city would never have annexed us, right?
right,
But
Right.
we weren't.
right. Then we'd had to live with with rural water, whatever their prices were.
So that'd be about the best example I could come up with is what happens there. You're already on it and then get annexed in.
My take is that the city would have to dig their own line to connect you up. If you had already had it and then you get annexed in, the city would have to add their own line to connect you to their water, even though it's the same water, but it has to come from the city's source technically, which is also R&T's water source, is the water source.
Right, so wherever that other water come in, the city would have to tie to that line. I see where R&T would have no expense there. They would, even if you annexed us in and we would have had that water, they'd have no additional expense because the city's gonna tie into that line.
But they would have their cost of bringing it to you guys if they would have.
But
had
if
that.
it's, if you annex them and they already have it, if they have water off of that other line, there would be no expense to anyone other than the city basically making a tie-in to their line, to our main.
But I think they want to get reimbursed for what they did.
Yeah.
Because you're taking it away, so they want to be able to get reimbursed for what they provided, their infrastructure, even though you might not use it.
Right.
So.
All I can do is try to get some more clarity on Monday evening.
That was my
I was gonna ask, what if we do nothing and just leave it intact as it sits?
You can do that. The contract is, there's no deadline, there's no sunset provision on the current agreement. You have to go through the proper process to terminate it
Yeah.
one way or the other. So you don't have to do anything.
And then just hold it in at $3,400 per occurrence.
Yes, but it doesn't apply to bulk users. That's a little bit different, so.
What has Tioga done? I mean,
I have no idea. I'll find out.
That was a mess with their different divisions of Tioga. Tioga's a bit of a mess with their different divisions of Tioga.
well, the fact is, I mean, Tioga's a user and the gas plant is their own separate user,
I know KSI is trying to do the same.
Yeah.
It's,
which is a total crock, but just saying.
I remember, George, you had mentioned that this is other municipalities that came to you guys to, they didn't like the agreement and they changed it. You know what
I
they,
don't remember what the specifics were. That was on my question list for Liz also, so.
So I mean, we could take no action today and we could take action if you get a point of, you said what? The next meeting's Monday?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we need. We need more clarity from them.
You don't even have to table, we just take no action on this. It just
Exactly.
is in place.
So,
I don't even know if I need a motion on that.
Was there more things we need to discuss before we go to that meetings?
no, just that, when it came to the agreement that I sent to you guys, I put a bunch of different options for paragraph 6. If you wanted to change it and go back to them with something different, it's in there. In green is the options that we put in the language. If you want to use that, you can. There's 2 different options. Whatever you want, you can do and then propose it to them after you get your questions answered.
but I think we do need a motion. We got it on the agenda. I think we need a motion that we bring it to our next monthly meeting after we've gotten some information from Jesse.
I'll move, I guess it's essentially moving to table this until Jesse brings back some additional information on after discussing with RNT.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move into the Bros contract. Now, as I've said, I don't have a vote on this, but I do have feelings on this, I guess. I don't like the city of Stanley to be tied into any contract. And I get along well with Patrick and Bros. I'm not one that wants to enter into any contract with engineering. In the event, if we did want to make a change, or we did want some special project that we were doing and we wanted another engineer on top of that, we can't do that under a contract. So, basically what we do right now is every time we have a project, we ask Patrick to look it over and do it. I have no problem doing that. but I don't want to enter into a contract, so to speak, that we're tied to. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Any other discussion?
We not contracted currently?
Pardon?
So right now, the contract's through March of 2025, but there's a requirement that you have to give notice. 60 days, I believe.
Okay.
And that's coming up in January before the next meeting. So you have to give notice before if you're gonna do that. And then if you don't, then it renews for a year.
And that being said, there is still language in that contract that you're not tied to it for that full length of the year. If you end up wishing to terminate, there's still that option in there. It doesn't put everything under lock and key. It was something done when I kind of checked into it from our side of how did this come to be. That was to help make things run smoother and less paperwork and less worry than kind of a, lock it key kind of thing. Most engineering contracts go from 3 to 5 years. Most of them are either 3 or 5. That's kind of what the original term was a 3-year contract. Then that auto renewed just so that way there wasn't paperwork continuously on this.
Discussion? Opinions?
So we don't enter, is if we vote to not renew this contract, what changes?
What changes is, the lawyer will give them 60-day notice then that we're not signing a new contract with them.
Doesn't say we're not doing business with them. It's just.
No, absolutely not, because I'm sure we will be doing business with them. It just keeps us from being tied solely to them.
What would the reason be not to be tied up with a engineering firm? Wouldn't you get a better break on it? Better discount because you're doing business with it for so many years?
We don't know. We could put out an RFP on a certain project, depending on the project size at that point and see what the rates are from different engineering firms. That's what's done other places, so.
May I speak to kind of the benefits of it?
Pardon?
Can I speak to kind of the benefits of it for that question? So the benefits are things like long-term planning. It's kind of hard to plan long-term at multiple projects, and projects take multiple years at a time. When a contract is generally 1 year, or if you contract someone for one phase of the project and then they don't do the construction, say on the other side, you end up paying more costs to have firms talk and have more people look at it. On top of it's knowing the systems, it's familiarity with the systems, whereas someone else coming in would have to refamiliarize themselves just to get off the ground on a project. We already have known the system for years, having worked on it. We know the areas that have been looked at before and where the past projects that were tabled kind of sit. So it's kind of that background familiarity, and that's kind of the benefit you get from kind of sticking with a firm. And that does come up in cost because you're not paying as much in redundancies and you're not paying as much in to get up to speed. But it's also just in planning and execution and knowing kind of the issues that we have here. For instance, on the project we had over at the commercial section this year, if they didn't know the history of that area and how that came to be, they might not put discretionary subcut quantities in there and then set prices on those things to get those prices at the time. Then you get change orders that you pay more for down the line. So there's kind of background and knowledge too that you get from sticking with a firm and working with them and over again, I guess.
I think there's advantages and there's disadvantages, so.
Oh, 13 years, I think, 14 years. No, that was before us. We helped with the pavement evaluations as the litigations were going on. We did the evaluations of the street conditions. We did 2 different times, go out there, evaluate, kind of said, this is what appears to have gone wrong. This is the condition it's in, but we weren't in charge of the construction management or at any part of the construction of that project.
But you've been taking care of it now for 13 years.
Well,
Have problems. So I'm guessing you're working there now coming forward.
well, we're doing our first project up there. We're designing and going to be bidding out our first project in that area. The only things we've done up there is kind of evaluations to help with the ongoing litigation that was going on there and let them know that the streets were in conditions and where the streets kind of sat. We just provided information and kind of answered questions. And that was all our role has been there.
I think at that time, Randy, I believe County City had about 3 or 4 different engineering firms during the glory days. There's quite a few different engineering firms doing different things around Stanley back.
That's kind of what you're trying to, everything out there is to send it out for bids like he just talked about, the 3 or 4 different companies working out there.
Depending on the size of the project, if we're comfortable with Bros and what they say on a certain project, I think we stick with Bros. But I just don't think we're under a contract that we have to stick with Bros.
The reason I've asked them that is because it seems like what happened during that 3, 4 different people out there, we have a lot of problems out in the Ryan edition. Or if we could just have one, that's why I asked him how long he'd been out there. Maybe those problems would not have arisen by having one that paid more attention than these 3 or 4. They're just out there to get the bin in and they're out. It's
I
just a question.
well, I think there was a lot of reasons they had problems out there.
Okay, but it's,
Um,
you know, we're dealing with 3, 4 different companies instead of one.
well, it still comes down to some inspection there.
I agree.
Um, well, I guess I've given my 2 cents on it. I just don't feel like the city should be tied to one.
So this contract would be for 3 years?
No, it actually, if you do nothing, then it just goes a year-to-year basis. So you're not tied 3 years, it's just a year. You just have to give 30 to 60 days notice to terminate the contract, otherwise it just renews for a year.
You terminated anytime with 60 days?
Well,
I believe so. That
Yeah.
provision is in there, yeah. This is just a point of, if you do nothing, then the next year will go through and then there's another period anytime that you can put it in, but it's just to make sure that it doesn't lapse. The original term was for 3 years and then they did this so that way there wasn't paperwork every 3 years of having to go through and redo it and kind of just cut down on administrative costs for both sides. I don't believe they're going up. That was the last I heard. I haven't seen the official rates go up, but from conversations with our CEO, he said our rates are not going up, is from the math that he's done.
Well, and I think that's our obligation, is to shop them every year. That's my point.
Another thing I feel obligated to say every time our rates come up is that our rates are a little different than every other engineering firm in the area because we don't charge mileage, we don't charge expenses like hotels, meals, or anything like that. And I believe we are the only firm in the state that doesn't do that. So our rates are what they are. We charge that hourly rate and that's it, whereas everyone else charges for additional things on top of that hourly rate that you
Do
see.
you currently have a PE in this office up here?
No, I have my test for January. We just had a PE. He just left to go run,
He was from Bismarck.
no, we had a PE up here from, who went back down to Colorado to go run Colorado Springs Capital Improvement Program that they, in the last election, passed a, sales tax. And I guess he got a sweetheart offer to run that big program. And it was a great step for him. I hope he does really well in it. So we are looking again. I am taking my test in January, but
But I'm curious, you know, like, if this contract's in place and we have a big project we want to do, how tied are we, you know, like, what is this contract defined as roles? Can we still RFP on a specific project, or is everything funnel through y'all?
If we're under contract to them, we can.
I see what you're saying.
I don't remember what the exact language is in there. I don't know, Ryan. Have you looked at that?
Not off the top of my head specifically. I just wanted to know what you had to do to to cancel the contract.
I believe there is language in there that says something about notice if you're gonna do that or something like that, that there's some, I think it's like without agreement, you know? So I think there is. And that's again, off the top of my head, like Ryan said, so don't quote me, but from my reading through it, I believe that's what it said in there.
Are you guys unwilling to work with us if you don't have a contract?
No, not at all. I'm just up here providing information, kind of talking about the contract as it is and answering
No, that-
questions,
But
but
that was just a question, Patrick. I mean, so everyone knows basically that. And as far as being out looking for a engineer on every project, I don't think that's our goal.
if I didn't want to work with you guys, I probably wouldn't be up here talking this much about it, right? So, but yeah,
Right.
no.
Just reading in here on the termination section. This agreement may be terminated in whole or in party by either party in the event of substantial failure by either party to fill its obligations under the agreement through no fault of the terminating party, provided however that no termination may be effected unless the other party is given not less than 10 calendar days written notice of intent to terminate and an opportunity for consultation with the terminating party prior to termination. Am I reading that right? That sounds like a lot of words to say. Is it 10-day cancellation notice?
That's only if the other isn't, I guess, basically competent.
Gotcha.
So if you think that they're not doing the right job, then you have to give notice at that point. But that's kind of the catch-all. What does that contain? What does that mean? But I saw that. It doesn't apply in this case.
Mhm.
It's the 60 days.
Pardon?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Huh? No, I believe it was. Yeah, no, it was great.
Well, I've been through a lot of them and, it's, you know, it's just something you do in construction a lot of times. I mean, there are different jobs suited to different engineering firms as well that you can come upon, you know, and maybe one firm has a lot more experience than another one in a certain thing. That's where you have, at least you can
I was
make the
wondering,
choice.
I don't know the specifics of this, but the lawsuit, when it came to the Ryan edition, I know the city was part of it. It was against the construction company, but did the engineers get involved? Did anybody sue the engineers? Because if it was 4 different ones, I mean, all of them are gonna start pointing the fingers at each. It was? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I should rephrase, at that given time, the city had like 4 different engineering groups, doing all kinds of stuff.
Different stuff, okay.
A&E, you had A&E, you had,
Okay.
you know, there was a lot, because
Yeah. There was. And I'm not suggesting having 4 that we use continuously. I'm not. For, right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I just remember lots of different payments going out to different engineering firms at that time. It was hard to keep it all straight.
I think it keeps our options open. So,
Well, I agree, keeps our options open. I'd worry about stuff like, because half of our council is so construction first, I guess. When you or Chad or whoever wants someone to go ride around with them for the day and figure out what's going on, chances of getting a firm from outside of town to come and sit and do that are probably pretty slim.
no, not usually, but. The basic thing it does is just allows us freedom. To choose. This way, we're tied into one contractor. Which an engineering firm is a contractor. I don't think we should be tied to any one contractor. If it was for snow removal or for anything else, I don't think we should be tied to one. So,
And again, it's not tied under lock and key, whereas, there was that clause that I think Ty just read where if there did come a point where we weren't fulfilling our obligations or you guys were unhappy, there is still always, even if the year renews, the ability to give notice.
well, it's a lot harder if you got a contract for the year. I mean, that's. At that point, that's gonna cost us a lot of money. So. I guess the question is, since Ryan brought this up as far as if we don't make this or have him write this letter today or this right now, then we're gonna end up in a situation where it automatically renews
For 1 year,
for a year.
1 year.
Well, yeah. But it automatically renews, so. So the question is, do we want that contract or do we want to be free to that? Doesn't mean we're not gonna use Bros Engineering at all. Because we are using them. We have them lined up for projects for next year. So I mean,
I guess what you're saying keeps the options open, because obviously we're
Yes.
not severing using them. We obviously, we just approved a handful of resolutions. It's not the intention of getting rid of them. It's keeping the options open to where you absolutely can't shop around. That's what you're getting at.
that's what I'm getting at.
So I will make a point on that. I'm pretty sure the task orders are tied to that contract.
You're sure
Because-
what?
The task orders that we sign for the projects are tied to that contract because they're task order amendments to the overall contract. Because they're all based off those joint engineering agreements that have to look into what actually happens to those if that contract doesn't renew.
Plot twist.
Yeah.
And there you go. There you go. You're tied. I mean, your
And
words.
those aren't documents that we write. That's the joint engineering, every city that I know of around here uses those. And in fact, I got gruff during the multi-community
There's a
chip
lot of
seal
cities
project
that
for
have
not using them.
multiple engineering,
No,
Patrick.
No, you're totally right. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that those contracts go away. I'm just saying I don't know what happens to them. I just know that that's how they're tied. And I'm
But
sure no
If we-
matter.
If we choose to keep you on that street project for next year, I mean,
Mhm. And I'm not saying that there becomes friction or anything like that. I'm just making sure every piece of information is known and making sure that everyone has all the knowledge. Cause I don't either,
yeah, this isn't, for me, this isn't anything against Rose.
No,
This is,
Just like to collect the bill.
yeah,
but on your rate sheet, on your prices, if we don't use you, that can all probably go from 180 to 280 then.
No, our rate sheet is for the area. So our rates aren't changing for our rates are company, you know? So that's our rate for our staff. That's not gonna change regardless. It's just we give that to you guys each year so that way you guys know kind of where we're at.
There's really no current benefit to being in contract.
Uh,
Nothing changes.
benefit is just kind of planning long term and those kinds of projects was kind of answering earlier with Randy's. The finances of the rates, no, the rates don't change whether you're under contract or not. They, each project instead, we give that kind of rate sheet. Generally, they only look at adjusting these every year. I'm not saying that they can't otherwise. If something were to come up and situations were to massively fluctuate, then they could. But I don't think they've ever done it before.
But it could. I mean, if we did.
But it could.
They say, okay, we want to use you now, not on the contract, so now we want $250.
My understanding, yeah, this is a contract would go for another year. You're bound by these rates. If you cancel it, then you could increase it. And there's nothing we can use as the attorney's lane. You're bound by this hourly rate.
Yes, correct. And I'm not saying that would happen. I would
And
see it very
basically,
unlikely.
for each project to come, typically what happens is you approve those rates for that project. They'll give you a rate sheet and actually they're a part of the bid project. I mean, if that project's a $10 million bid, they give you your rate sheet and what their portion of that bid is going to be. That doesn't change, you know?
Let me ask the question. So then with these resolutions, is there anything tied to these resolutions? Then if they don't have a contract, does that screw these up?
Even that same. Ain't that what you were saying, Patrick?
No, I wasn't talking about the resolutions. That's outside of kind of my realm of knowledge. You'd have to talk to your bond counsel about that. I was talking about the task orders, which are the contracts that we kind of bring to you for each project. Those are written for simplicity's sake, so that way you're not getting a slew of legal language for each contract. It uses the language from the contract we have with you and then amends that, says, we'll do this project under this dollar amount.
Yeah, so that doesn't change them at all. So the question on the table is whether or not we renew their contract.
It's actually not renew the contract. It's
It's
giving notice to terminate it.
To
Otherwise, it
terminate.
automatically renews.
right.
Well, no, a bite. I like having good old fashioned competition. I think if you all keep doing what you do, we're gonna keep working for the city of Stanley. If we lock into a contract, we'll have to, you know, there's some provisions out, but we'd have to go back and forth as to whether or not, you know, one party means the other one incompetent or whatever that verbiage was. So that being said, I'll just toss it out there. I'll do a motion to not renew. I think if y'all keep doing what you do, we're gonna keep doing business. But it keeps our options open as a city to where if there's something better for the taxpayers of Stanley, we'll have that as an open option too.
And I think that's a good motion.
So that's me.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, all right, all right.
Kirk,
I,
Jesse,
I,
Ty,
Aye.
Randy,
No,
George.
Okay, hearing one nay and 4 ayes, motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to the year-end bonuses, and the reason this is on the agenda is not to discuss what the bonuses are or anything. Basically, we have to find out how to pay these out legally, how to make Ryan happy. So, the bonuses are what the bonus, and I just wanted to put it on the agenda so people know, yes, they are getting a bonus. For January, it will happen in January. But I'll defer to Ryan on this a little bit, but, it all amounts to how we process those bonuses and how we put it out.
Yeah, there's a constitutional amendment in North Dakota's law about you basically can't gift. And they've interpreted bonuses as gifts unless you phrase them a certain way. And so the state of North Dakota has passed statutes. One is a performance and based bonus, and it has all this criteria. And then and I think it's something dash, I can't remember the exact code. One's -30 and the other one's -31. The second option is to retain employees and to hire employees. You have bonuses to hiring bonus, and the state technically can't do that unless they have these requirements in place. So there's two options that the city, I recommend, does to put it in place, so then it doesn't violate that constitutional provision in our deal. I think it's section 8, I think, of the Constitution, Article 13 maybe, but it's a anti-gift. You can only technically gift for poor, to help the poor. And I know like some other states, not other states, but other cities deem that it's not, it is unconstitutional. You can't, it's illegal to give bonuses. But I think there's a way around it because the state also is bound to that constitutional provision, and they do it. I know I've had friends that have worked for other agencies and they got a retention bonus. You just have to follow the criteria, and I just recommend you pass or some type of a ordinance or put it into the work manual, what's required. You have to go through and have evaluations for each employee, and I would recommend too, if you're gonna do it, probably the retention and the hiring bonus, mainly because you're in an area where you're competing with oil field, so you have to pay more compared to other places. Like if you're over in the northwestern, eastern part of the state, they don't have to deal with that much competition for employees. That way you can, justify it easier than performance-based, because then it's like, well, if you give everybody a bonus based on performance, you tell them everybody's a great employee, probably, but if you do the retention base, it's like, well, we're paying you because we value you being here. So, but it's up to you how you want to do it. We'll just mirror the statute that's in place.
So what do you want from us? If you can do it.
Well, we'll draft it. We'll draft it as long as you give me the
And
motion to.
I do think that it should probably be the retention one. I think that's the easiest one.
We need a motion to move forward with the retention style.
Draft that?
Yep.
Okay, is that a motion, George?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Yep, I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries. Okay, year-end transfers.
Okay, so you see you have the list in front of you. Obviously, the EDC, is only allowed to be 150,000 at the end of the year. So until I pretty much final out the year, I don't have an exact figure, but just the overage amount in EDC would go to the Stanley City Sales Fund. We need 200,000 from the general to the municipal highway fund. From the general, 20% of special assessment payments. District 36 would be 11,484. District 41, 3,196. 42 would be 4,123. District 43, 15,839. District 47, 9,328. The next two would be part of when we increased the base rate and said that every year a certain amount would go into the infrastructure fund. So 100,000 from the water operating fund to the 041 city sales tax fund, 58,881.75 from the sewer operating to the city sales fund, and then 50,000 from general to the walking trail fund. And then the next two would be just part of the city's portion on the CIP plans. So 646,432 from the infrastructure fund to the 59 CIP water and sewer, 982,636 from the city sales fund to 60 CIP street fund. And then the next one would be 100,000, which will come from the park district's city sales fund to the general, and that is part of the loan agreement for the pool project. And then my last question, which it's already been approved to do, but I'm just wondering where you want me to transfer the funds from to cover for those special assessments that were on the airport property that we, sold to the airport.
I think they should probably come out of the general fund.
Okay, that's kind of what I assumed, but I just wanted to make sure. And the rest we can do one motion on.
Okay.
George?
Motion to take it
So
out of,
moved.
out of the general fund?
Yep, out of the general fund and then approving the rest of the,
You gotta do, that's gonna be two motions. First, you have to take it out of the general, make the motion for the general fund. Correct? Yep. Yep, so. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Lynn, you wanna do a,
Kirk?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Randy? George?
okay, now we need a motion basically for the rest, for these transfers.
motion to approve the city auditors transfers for the end of the year.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Lynn, please.
Kirk?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Randy? George?
Hearing no nays, motion carries, motions carry. Okay, 2025 salaries.
So. Sorry. So obviously, these salaries were already discussed and recommended by the employment committee and were put into the 2025 budget. But we do have to just at the end of, before the beginning of the year, just make a final approval of those salaries.
To approve the employment committee's recommendation on the salaries.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, on the salaries. once again, I'd just soon have you.
Bert, Burke, Jesse,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
George.
Okay, hearing no nays, motion carries. I only need one more motion.
To adjourn.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed, motion carried. Thank you, everybody.
Can do what? Yeah.